Joining us now is Tim Twentyman, insider and senior writer for the Detroit Lions, talking about Kyle Van Noy and Ziggy Ansah, a couple of guys that were drafted. Forget being undrafted. They were both drafted by the Lions. And, Tim, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation.
Hey, how you guys doing, Spence, Brian?
Fantastic. Let's start with Kyle Van Noy. I had a chance to talk to him. He's a big BYU basketball fan, so he was at some games, and you could sense the frustration that he was dealing with the injury to his core muscle. That got repaired, but he never felt like he got into the groove. So with his rookie season cut short by an injury, and after having surgery, what role do you see Kyle Van Noy playing for the Lions in 2015?
Well, I think it was important for Kyle to at least get back those 8 games. He was obviously on short-term IR and came back, and I think that was important for him. He played through pain. He wasn't 100% when he did that. He didn't have to play in those games, but I think it's going to benefit him in the long run. He got to see what NFL action is like, the speed of the game, what it takes to go on the road, prepare. I think all of those are going to be helpful for him going into year 2. Now that he's healthy, now the physical part he can show. He's going to have to battle Tahir Whitehead. Tahir stepped in and played the mic last year, and now that Stephen Tulloch's back, he's in his more natural Sam spot position. He played at Temple. And so, Kyle's going to have to fight for that starting Sam spot. I think if he doesn't win that job, I think at the very least he's going to be kind of a sub-package player. He'll come in on third downs. He spends half his time with the linebackers and half his time with the defensive line and individual drills. So, he'll be that guy that can kind of get after the quarterback and be a sub-package player. But right now it's really between him and Tahir Whitehead for that starting Sam spot.
Tim, if Kyle does become a starter on this defense, do you think that he can solidify himself by the first game?
I think the one thing, you didn't see a lot of production with Kyle last year, and that was a little bit concerning to me. And I know he was playing through pain. He was a rookie. He missed half his year, and he was kind of going on the fly. But, some of the things I want to see with him is, can he get off blocks? Can he make plays? He didn't stand out in the spring either way, good or bad. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. You didn't see him get burned a lot, but you didn't see him make a lot of plays either. So I think the pressure's really on him. I think he has to establish himself in the preseason. I think, having an interception here, causing a fumble, getting the quarterback, I think something like that could really spark him on and get him going. If he wins that starting spot, he's going to win it in the preseason, showing coaches that he's a playmaker. And so if he wins it, I think he can certainly establish himself, but he's got to do that in the preseason.
Between OTAs and what's happened thus far, if anything at all, at Detroit Lions camp, I know your vision on Kyle has been limited, but what does he look like physically on the field?
He's a beast. Yeah, he's just physically, you see why they loved him and why they moved up in the second round of the draft last year to get him. Their Sam spot is kind of that on the line of scrimmage, versatile linebacker who can rush, who can drop back, who can do a lot of different things, but plays on the line of scrimmage. And so with his size, they obviously feel great about him rushing the passer, and with his, speed and still being able to be agile and being able to move at his size, they think he's the guy that can drop back and play in coverage and play that 10-yard open space. So, physically, he's very, very gifted. It's just, can he stay healthy, and can he kind of put together all those gifts in Terrell Austin's defense, and can they package him right and put him in the right spots to make plays?
Tim, I saw an article that you had written a few months back regarding Kyle's rotation at the Sam linebacker spot, at the Will linebacker spot. Is there one position that the coaches feel that is he's going to play, or do they want to see him playing both sides and mixing up a bit?
Well, I think they cross-train all their linebackers, the Will and the Sam, just for game situations, injuries, all that. They're like their guys to be able to really play all three, if you include the Mike as well. But there's a guy over there on that Will side, DeAndre Levy, and he's a pretty good linebacker. He's about to get paid, and he's a Pro Bowl caliber type guy. And so I think he's really got that Will side locked down. Now, obviously, injuries happen in the league, but DeAndre's proven himself to be very durable. He had 150 tackles. He led the league in solo tackles. He had 6 interceptions the year before. I could keep going on. He's a terrific player. And so I think if Kyle's going to see the field and he's going to make a name for himself, it's going to be at that Sam spot.
Tim Twentyman, senior writer for the Detroit Lions and insider with us on BYU Sports Nation. We just talked about Kyle Van Noy. Now let's get the update on Ziggy Ansah, who was drafted 5th overall in the first round by the Lions back in 2013. He was a Rookie of the Year candidate that year, Tim. And again, while he had some statistical drop-off last year, received high praise, it seemed like week in and week out from his head coach, Jim Caldwell. So with pretty good back-to-back seasons to open his NFL campaign, what are the expectations for Ziggy on the defensive line this year?
Huge. I mean, really, really huge. I mean, to be honest with you, you mentioned 8 sacks as a rookie, led all rookies in that category. And he had 7.5 last year, which I wouldn't consider a huge decrease, a little bit, but they're expecting double-digit sacks from Ziggy. I mean, you guys know how athletically gifted he is. I mean, this guy's 6'5", 270 pounds, and runs a 200 in under 22 seconds and 110 something. I mean, the guy is just a freak. And so, as you guys know as well, he started football late in his career. And so when he got to this level, look, he had to learn how to be a pass rusher. I mean, he got away at BYU and even his rookie year on just being a physical freak. But the thing about this level is guys study film. And if you show a weakness, it's people's job to figure that out and find a way to stop you. And so I think, Ziggy has evolved into being more of a pass rusher to go along with those terrific physical skills. And so, I think the future is really bright for Ziggy. I think the Lions are expecting him to be a double-digit sack guy. They're expecting him to become one of the elite pass rushers in this league. I'm talking about 15, 16, 17 sack kind of guy consistently every year. And so that's the expectation. And I talked to Ziggy in the offseason. He said, look, my goal is simple. I want to be the best at my position. I think that's a terrific attitude for a third-year player to have, especially a guy as gifted as he is.
So the Lions lost Ndamukong Suh, Nick Farley, but they also brought on Haloti Ngata on the defensive line. How will that help or hurt Ziggy's performance on the field this year?
Well, I think the big thing that Ndamukong did was he commanded the double team. You always look at that opposite defensive tackle to the defensive end, with how they do stunts and some different package rushes they do. That's an important position to look at, the opposite defensive tackle that plays that defensive end, especially in Terrell Austin's scheme. And so, I think Ziggy certainly benefited from Ndamukong because he saw a lot of one-on-ones. When they were going to chip, they were probably going to chip that middle and keep an eye on Ndamukong. And so I think that opened up some opportunities for Ziggy. But I think Haloti's going to do a similar thing. He's going to be that kind of double team, guy who is going to occupy some blockers, is going to allow Ziggy to do some one-on-one things. But I think teams are going to have an eye on Ziggy where they didn't as much in the past because of Ndamukong. So he's got to prove that he can be a dominant force. He can get by some of the chips and maybe some of the double teams he's going to see. But I think he's certainly going to benefit from Haloti Ngata just as he did in Ndamukong Suh, and he's going to get his fair share of one-on-one matchups.
Talking with Tim Twentyman, insider for the Detroit Lions. Looking at a second playoff appearance in a 4-year span, obviously the Lions want to get back to the postseason, but the next step is winning a game. Is this a team right now, with everybody that they bring back, that could potentially make a deep run in the NFL playoffs, or are they still a year or two away?
I think they're certainly viewing it as win now. You look at bring back 18 starters. They got 9 starters back on the number 2 overall defense in the league. And they replaced a 4-time Pro Bowler in Ndamukong Suh with a 5-time Pro Bowler in Haloti Ngata. So defensively, they feel they're going to be just as strong as they were last year. And then offensively, you have to just think that they're going to be better. Year 2 in Joe Lombardi's system. They retooled and kind of revamped. They got younger and more athletic on the offensive line. They expect that unit to be better. So, look, if they can continue to have a top 10 defense, and they expect this offense now in year 2 with the comfort level and everything that goes with that and some of the pieces that they've added on that side of the ball to be, a top 10-ish type offense as well. They think they can be right there. They think they can be a 10, 11 win team. And I think the goal this year, instead of having to go on the road in the playoffs, is to win that division, get yourself a home playoff game, get by Green Bay, and then see what happens. And I think that's the goal. And I think it's certainly obtainable despite the very tough schedule that the Lions have. So we'll have to see how that factors into it as well.
Tim, great stuff. We appreciate the insight into what's going on in Detroit, and look forward to an intriguing month of camp leading up to what we hope is an even more intriguing season. Thanks for the time.
It should be fun, guys, anytime.